This morning I have some thoughts about marriage and what's happening with marriage in our culture. Let me just share a couple of thoughts from a Bloomberg article that was discussing how young couples are dreading marriages, which might sound strange. After the shutdown in 2020, 2021, there was a falling off. I should say during the shutdown, there was a falling off of weddings by about 40%. And now there's a uptick in weddings, like a surge of about 50%. That's what the article is discussing. And it's talking about the financial impact on people who are guests or who are in wedding parties and how they're now dreading weddings. Here's a couple of things that it says. A third of bridal party members took on debt for a friend's wedding, according to a survey by online lending marketplace LendingTree. Those that went into debt included 43% of maids of honor, 38% of best men, 35% of best maids or bridesmaids, and 30% of groomsmen. It included things such as bachelor and bachelorette parties, wedding attire, travel to and from the marriage, and those were some of the biggest expenses. And I just want to mention this for a moment. Many years ago, the shift to weddings taking place away from churches took place. It was pernicious. And I'm going to share with you a little of the realities of churches today as opposed to decades ago. About 20, 25 years ago and prior to that, our shepherd was seeing at least a dozen or so weddings a year. Young couples were traditionally coming to churches in order to have their weddings. This was good because it was a feeder for churches of young couples getting connected to the Lord and starting their faith walk with the Lord. Also fantastic for bringing up their families and their children in the fear and knowledge and trust of the Lord. Good stuff. Sunday school, Bible class, church, all very good, spiritually wholesome, very powerfully building and supportive of the family. The wedding industry and the travel industry got together, and a culture that was turning away from the Lord and becoming nuns, that is, N-O-N-E-S, that they were deciding that they did not want to have as much to do with God, decided that they were going to have weddings that were destination weddings. So they would have their wedding in Bermuda or Barbados or one of these other places that were exotic. Typically, then, these couples would not grace a church's entrance, and they would then, following up, not have their children baptized in the church. What we have had happen in the Christian community over the last 2 or 3 decades is that the two primary drivers of growth in churches are gone. People have decided they're having destination weddings. They're often cohabiting in violation of God's will before they even get married. So then they just turn it into a marriage / honeymoon-ish kind of thing. And then they loft all of these expenses for their desires for this beautiful fantasy wedding that they've been sold by these industries onto all their guests. Their family and their friends now have to pay thousands of dollars so that they can have their fantasy, so that they can have their big to-do in some exotic location. And what does it mean for the longevity of the marriage, for the strength of the union? Just about this. Just about nothing. In fact, these couples would be much better off if they would, in wisdom, realize that spiritual formation and togetherness in faith has been correlated. Church attendance, prayer together, these things have been correlated. They've been seen sociologically for a long time as directly positively impact relationships and blessing couples' relationships. Sadly, our culture has gone the exact opposite direction, dumped church weddings and the association and walking with the Lord Jesus in favor of a secular union. They might give lip service to faith, they're not practicing the faith. I would warn any young couple that is thinking about getting married of these dangers. If you go secular, if you cut yourself off and don't avail yourself of the blessings and the benefits of walking with the Lord in your marriage, you're putting odds against you. The odds are already not greatly in your favor. You want every advantage that you can get. So it's sad that now the articles are coming out that marriage is some kind of problem for people because of the costs associated. But that was because couples got very secular and very greedy. In my opinion, honestly, I think it's a phenomenally selfish thing to ask all your friends and family to spend thousands of dollars so you can get married on a beach or near a waterfall or something and all. I think that's very selfish. And I would like to see a return of some modesty and decency in marriage, and couples realizing the benefit of a humble service in a church and a lifetime spent in faith together. Trust me, you'll have a much, much stronger chance of success than having some destination wedding and having all of these individuals fork out thousands of dollars so you can have some kind of fantasy. Blessings.